Hello and welcome to Americans Learn. My name is Lauren and today I'm going back to Casual Geographic. I feel like a lot of the times I watch a Casual Geographic video, the subject matter is traumatizing, or that might just be the most recent one I watched. So this time I'm looking at if you haven't smiled today. I just want something kind of wholesome right now. So that's what you're getting from me. That's what we're getting from him. Don't forget to check out Casual Geographic on YouTube and like TikTok. He's got a lot of good stuff out there. So let me know what I should look at next, and let's all smile today.
Nah, this isn't clickbait. You're actually getting a wholesome video this time. Normally, I would just traumatize you for 8 to 10 minutes, or however long I need for mid-rolls. Which, to be fair, isn't that hard to do, because nature's a bit... Oh, the video cut off. That was weird. But I was gonna say nature's a brutal reality show where life is all about trying to get renewed to the next season. But in honor of the calendar turning to 2022, here's 22 animal facts to remind you that 22? It ain't all that bad. Few animals have a worse PR team than hyenas. Mostly thanks to Lion King, hyenas got stuck with the label of dead-eyed drooling scavengers that only survive by licking off a lion's plate. Basically, we got a lot wrong about them. But something you probably didn't know is that hyenas form legitimate friendships with each other. And because they live in a hierarchy, low-ranking hyenas are more likely to seek relationships with higher-ranking females. Yeah, basically they're social climbers. Not only that, but hyenas will even go out of their way to bond with the friends of their friends. This type of networking is known as triad closure. And it's one way for a hyena stuck at the bottom rung of the social ladder to move on up without having to fight. Biologists observed a female named Waffles that went from the lowest tier member of the clan to the very top. Not by running fades, but by befriending the right hyenas until she managed to ride the clout elevator all the way to the top floor. Waffles went from bottom of the cast to alpha female and didn't have to choose violence once.
Good for Waffles. Excellently done. That's how to do it. Just befriend. That's always fun when that happens in like TV shows or movies or like a podcast or something, like a storyline where it's like, there was one I was listening to and the guy was like, no, I'm transporting this load of orchids for a friend, and they're worth 2,000 pounds or whatever, but I traded this for some like brown sauce that he wanted, and he traded me this, and it's like he's back and forth, and it's like, and I started 6 months ago with half a tuna sandwich, and now there's like 2,000 pounds worth of like stuff. It's like, you know, it like just slowly build a thing. I like that. Patience is a virtue.
And Waffles' behavior wasn't just a coincidence. In cooperative problem-solving tests, a pair of spotted hyenas actually outperformed chimpanzees. And in these tests, the more seasoned hyenas would go out of their way to help the less experienced complete their tasks. And they were able to do this without being trained. So yeah, not only are hyenas smarter than you think, they have a social circle just like us.
Cute.
And kind of like some sharks. Not all sharks are mindless, antisocial eating machines. A 4-year study done at the Palmyra Atoll in the Pacific Ocean found that gray reef sharks will actually link up with the same group of sharks year after year. And even though they'll go out into the open ocean at night for food, they'll spend their day hanging out on the reef with the same group. Scientists believe these sharks will not only recognize specific individuals, but will actively choose to hang out with them. And many of these reef sharks maintain the same social circle for the entire 4-year study. But according to them, these technically aren't friendships. It's more accurate to describe them as associates, or like convenience friends. You know, like the kind that would make no sense anywhere else except the place you work. And since I'm just gonna commit to the work analogy, if going out for food is a shift, then these sharks meeting up on the reef is their version of chilling in the break room. Some fish are just way smarter than you think. But
also, there was that thing that I saw about recently where there's this one there's this one lady who she works with sharks, and she started removing like fish hooks from the ones that she saw that had them like trapped somewhere, and now like sharks will bring her other sharks with fish hooks in them so she can remove the fish hooks. I just think that's kind of cool.
The smartest fish of them all is the manta ray, which makes sense because they have by far the biggest brain of any fish. Just for reference, the whale shark is the biggest fish in the sea, yet the manta ray's brain can be up to 10 times larger. The undersea Einstein has the mental capacity for problem solving, learning, and communication.
Is that why in Finding Nemo, Mr. Ray was the teacher? Because manta rays are smart? I had no idea.
But by far the most impressive thing is they can pass a test that most animals on the planet fail. The mirror test is the ultimate show of self-recognition and intelligence. All an animal needs to do to pass is recognize their own reflection. And when a manta ray swam up to the plate, they seemingly aced it. Captive manta rays reacted by blowing bubbles at their mirror cells and flipping over to look at their own underside. And we know they were checking themselves out because manta rays will often flash their white colorings whenever they meet a new manta. When looking at the manta in the mirror, they didn't do any of that, meaning this party-sized Pacific pancake actually recognized itself in the mirror. Which also means an underwater placemat passed a test that most dogs, cats, and humans younger than 18 months couldn't. Pigs are another animal that were smart enough to conquer the mirror test. But it's not surprising, since pigs are considered the 4th smartest animal in the world behind great apes, cetaceans like dolphins, and elephants. Pigs are smart enough to recognize and respond to their own names when they're only 2 weeks old. On average, they can learn tricks much faster than dogs. Newborn piglets quickly learn to tell their mother's voice apart from all the others and will come running whenever she calls. Also, mother pigs will often sing to their hungry litter of nursing porkies. That doesn't really have to do with intelligence.
That's adorable!
But if you want the ultimate proof of pig perception, in 2016, Lulu the potbelly pig saved her owner from a near-fatal heart attack by running out into the road and playing dead, only getting up to lead the good Samaritan that had checked on her to her fallen owner. In 2014, a pet pig named Lucky saved his family from becoming an ashtray after waking up the entire house with frantic squealing at 4 in the morning. Because of the swine savior, the family just barely made it out of the house, which had just gone up in flames. So yeah, adopt a pig and might just end up saving your life. You could say the same for your pet cat. Plenty of studies prove that owning a furry roommate can actually be good for your health. Just holding one can increase serotonin while also lowering cortisol levels and blood pressure. Having a long-term cat friend can also lower the risk of heart disease, and studies show that it can reduce the risk of health issues like a stroke by around 30%. And it turns out cats purr at a frequency believed to have borderline therapeutic healing effects on human bones, muscles, and tendons. On top of all that, some surveys show that just owning one can make you more attractive. In a poll, it was discovered that nearly 90% of single women subconsciously viewed men with cats as more caring and nurturing. You know how they say you gotta spend money to make money? I'm not gonna make the joke, but you can probably put it together. But none of these are the actual fact for this part. Because cats do so much for us without even realizing it, the least you can do is tell them you love them. And you can, by blinking. Slow blinking has been proven to evoke positive and happy emotions in a cat. If it responds with a blink back, then you know the feeling's mutual. And if it's a new cat, the slow blink makes the cat more likely to approach an unfamiliar person without malicious intent. Basically, a blink can make a cat go from grr to purr in a second. But unlike pet cats, tigers can't purr because they're literally not built that way. Instead, tigers will make this sound known as a chuff, which they typically use to greet each other or express comfort. It's pretty much their happy sound. And just like house cats, tigers will also use a slow blink to show affection, and they'll even roll over and expose their belly. And since their underside is their most vulnerable spot, this is the ultimate sign of trust. Another fact is that tigers can be selfless, when they want to be. Now to be fair, male tigers typically get the females pregnant and then just go about their business like a tiger Tristan Thompson. But if a male tiger meets a female he's mated with, not only will they share a kill, but the male will let the female and what you have to assume are his cubs eat first. Once the female and her cubs get their fill, only then will the male take his share. Literally the polar opposite of lion society. But cubs can't get too comfortable, cause like lions, male tigers typically turn any cubs they come across into past tense. But what would happen if someone did the same to his mate? Rhetorical question, we know the answer, it doesn't end well. Cause one man allegedly messed around and found out. Once near a village in Sithathodu in India, a man shot down a full-grown tigress. The poacher, named Baby, came across her while part of a group of people illegally brewing alcohol in the forest, and the encounter cost her her life. But some bad deeds do not go unpunished. Because 3 days later, Baby was confronted by a male tiger believed to be the mate of the female he had slaughtered. And the widower proceeded to put the baby to bed as the rightfully pissed off male tiger brutally mauled the poacher. Baby survived the initial attack, but the injuries gave him an expiration date of only a few days later. But
I can't believe the tiger figured out who killed his mate. That's awesome. Good job, tiger guy.
The tiger didn't stop there. The male allegedly mauled any human he came across, and I can't say I blame him. For a usually solitary predator, tigers can be loyal. But you want to know what else is? I can give you 100 guesses and you still probably won't come up with the animal next. And that's cause not a lot of animals are more loyal than the golden jackal. They're one of the few mammals that are monogamous. And unlike half of all humans, when they say till death do them part, they actually mean it. Golden jackal couples spend most of their lives together, which also makes the male jackal one of the best fathers in the entire animal kingdom. The father jackal's so important to the family that if something ever happened to him, there's a good chance his cubs wouldn't survive to the next season. And that's because when a mother and father hunt together, their success rate is 3 times higher than if they would have went at it alone. When the female jackal's ready to give birth, her partner will dig protective burrows for the pups and he'll defend them all with his life. And if there's a shortage of food, the father jackal will vomit whatever's left in his stomach to feed his children. Yeah, it may be gross, but it's the only thing keeping that face alive. But lucky for them, they got parents that work well together. or at least better than 50% of marriages. Coyotes are the jackals of America, but instead of working well with other coyotes, some have started teaming up with their worst enemy. Normally, coyotes and badgers hate each other with extreme prejudice, but together they make a deadly 1-2 punch. Coyotes and American badgers have been known to use team play to grief prairie dogs and ground squirrels. Basically, it goes like this. Badgers can flush out the prairie dogs by invading their burrow, and if the prairie dogs try to hightail it on land, then they'll get run down by the wily coyote. So even though coyotes and badgers are mortal enemies, their hunting success rate actually shoots up 30% when they set aside their differences.
I've seen that video, like this one with the badger and the coyote, like in the night going through the tunnel together. This coyote's like, come on, come on, come on, let's go.
And I can't be 100% sure, but they almost look like friends here. But
They
somehow
do.
coyotes and badgers aren't even the weirdest couple on this list. This is your obligatory spider worm because I understand that it do be like that. Tarantulas have been known to adopt tiny dotted humming frogs and let them
I did know this too. I knew about those tarantulas and the froggies. I knew about that one.
crash in their burrow. This bite-sized Kermit is actually perfectly safe because it eats the insects that could possibly destroy the spider's clutch of eggs. In return, the frog gets a rent-free apartment and an 8-legged bodyguard. So in a case of mutualism on steroids, the safest place in the jungle for a juicy humming frog is actually right under his arachnid roommate. And the tarantula will even use chemical cues to recognize their particular frog. It's an equal partnership where both parties have something to gain. But sometimes animals might help each other out even when they don't get anything in return. Orcas are the biggest bullies of the ocean, and not seals, stingrays, sharks, or even other orcas are safe from the carnage this Oreo guppy can cause. But there is at least one animal that'll stand up to them. Humpback whales have been seen protecting animals like this seal from hunting orcas looking for takeout. In this case, a whale carefully balanced a Weddell seal on its chest after a pot of malicious equality symbols knocked it off an ice floe. And the humpback proceeded to keep the seal out of harm's way, even though it didn't seem to noticeably benefit the whale in any way. To date, humpback whales have played guardian angels with seals, sunfish, and even baby gray whales. Humpbacks will often harass killer whales and confront them as a group in an act known as mobbing. And they'll turn up the intensity if there are any humpback calves nearby. And if there aren't any around, it's possible they satisfy this parental drive by defending any animal being targeted. I can't tell you for sure what it is, but it does mean humpbacks might be the only thing alive that can send a pod of orcas the other way. And this drive to protect others can extend to people. A marine biologist was terrified as a 50,000-pound humpback got dangerously close to her, nudging at her with its head and bumping her with its belly. And it wasn't until she scrambled onto the safety of the boat that she noticed a 15-foot tiger shark on the other side of the whale. There's a solid chance this was a pure coincidence and the whale only helped her out by accident. But given their track record for altruism, I would doubt it. Cetaceans are one of the top 5 smartest animals on the planet, so it's not hard to believe. Speaking of cetaceans, dolphins have a pretty good argument for being the smartest thing on Earth that doesn't
They also have a reputation for being dicks.
have thumbs. In fact, bottlenose dolphins are so intelligent that they start learning before they're born. And that's because mother dolphins will sing to their calves while they're still in the womb. That way, the unborn bottlenose learns its mother's signature whistle. The mother dolphin performs its signature whistle for the baby months before it's born and will continue doing it in the weeks after. But dolphins aren't the only animals that talk to their kids before they're alive. Alligator and crocodile hatchlings will call out to the mother while still in the eggs to let her know that they're ready to hatch.
Oh, wow.
As soon as the mother gator hears this call, she'll immediately start digging her children out. But it's believed that baby gators are also coordinating their hatching time when they make that noise. In an experiment, scientists played the sound of these egg calls around an alligator and her eggs just to judge their reaction. Not only did the mother alligator immediately start digging up the speaker, the baby gator started calling back and even began hatching. So it's possible the alligator hatchlings call out to make sure all the siblings are on the same page and hatch together, while also getting the mother's attention. The mother's attention is something octopus never get because they're born orphans. The mother usually dies as soon as they're born and the father gives up on life long before. Which means these babies are the size of a grain of rice, yet have to figure out life in an ocean full of stranger danger. But since octopus are the smartest things in the ocean without a backbone, this can lead to what I like to call creative problem solving. This octopus manages to avoid the jaws of a deadly moray eel by riding it like a drunk sorority girl on a mechanical bar bull. Except I'm pretty sure the octopus lasted longer. This baby blanket octopus was seen piling a jellyfish using the tentacles in case they ever needed to go on the defensive. Perhaps the best example of cephalopod creativity is that some will carry 2 halves of a coconut to use as a travel-sized panic room. At the first sign of danger, the octopus retreats back into its makeshift shell. When they're not doing that, they're carrying it around like they're late for a flight. Octopus are just one of those animals whose intelligence never fully gets appreciated, like ravens. Ravens and corvids in general are one of the 2 smartest kinds of birds. In fact, ravens are so smart that they've even started doing something that we figured out thousands of years ago. Ravens and wolves have developed a mutualistic relationship where
No, I've seen so many cool things with ravens. Like they figured out water displacement. Like they put like food into a test tube or something with a little bit of water in it. But then the raven can't reach it, so they literally start like dropping rocks into it to raise the water level so they can grab the thing. Like, it's so cool. They're so smart, and they can talk.
Ravens will call out to wolf packs and lead them to food. In exchange, the ravens eat whatever scraps the wolf pack leaves behind. But studies have shown that these ravens have actually started forming legitimate relationships with specific wolves in the pack, especially the pups. Ravens in Yellowstone were seen grabbing sticks to play tug-of-war with the curious wolf pups and would even grab at their tails just to get them to give chase. And because ravens can remember individuals for up to 5 years, these ravens have started forming emotional attachments to certain wolves. Which is why this is a Disney movie just waiting to happen. And you know how I said corvids are one of the 2 smartest things with wings? It's because parrots are in the same class of intelligence, and it's the African gray parrot that's considered the smartest. Which is probably why the 7th president of the United States, Andrew Jackson, owned one as a pet. So when President Jackson passed away in 1845, Paul the African gray attended his funeral. But he had to be escorted out because Paul the parrot started swearing so loudly it disturbed all the mourning attendants. The foul mouthed R-rated tirade could still be heard even after he was ushered out the room and eventually had to be carried out the house. When you think of animals that can actually talk, your mind probably draws a blank after parrots. You definitely wouldn't guess the next animal on here. In 1971 in Maine, Scotty Dunning and George Swallow came across an orphan baby seal on the shore of a harbor, and Swallow decided to take the little guy in. Because of its eating habits, he named the seal Hoover, after the vacuum. After years of being raised by Swallow, Hoover would imitate his caretaker, repeating his favorite phrases with his thick accent to match. It's one of those things you would not believe if you never heard it. I want you to listen to this and keep in mind, this is a seal talking. As someone who spends a
Oh my god. Get over here. Oh my, seals can talk? I knew like ravens and crows could talk, as well as parrots. I've learned something today.
lot of time working around animals, zookeepers often end up learning way more than they need to know. But one of the more pleasant and safe work things that zookeepers have discovered is that one of the most irritable animals in Africa is actually a big pushover. The rhinoceros has a nasty and short temper, but it's only because they're legally blind in one of the most dangerous neighborhoods in the world. But anyone who's ever worked with captive rhinos quickly finds out that they have the personality of an armor-plated lapdog. They're playful, smart, have way more personality than you think, and they're incredibly affectionate. Cheetahs in captivity are slightly less affectionate. In fact, they can get so crippled by anxiety that they struggle to mate. The solution? Many cheetahs have gotten their own personal emotional support dog. Not only is it cute, the cheetahs use the more outgoing dogs as role models and will adjust their behaviors after them. These dogs, which are usually shepherds or labradors, are introduced to their cheetah counterparts at an early age in supervised playdates. If all goes well, the pair rarely leave each other's side. As the friendship helps redirect the cheetah's natural nervous energy, the at-risk cats are less stressed and therefore more likely to mate. And the dogs win too, since many parks like the San Diego Zoo will use shelter dogs to pair with the wildcats. In fact, this is Hopper, and he was actually rescued from a kill shelter. So it's a friendship that has the potential to save both animals. If that doesn't make you feel something, then this next story definitely will. This is Lala the penguin. After he was caught in a fishing net and left injured, a Japanese family rescued him and nursed the bird back to health. And Lala was smart enough to realize he'd rather live in a rent-free air-conditioned apartment than have to fight for his life in the wild. One of Lala's favorite things to do was walk around the neighborhood and visit the local fish market. So his family gifted him with a backpack to
It's a little penguin backpack! Oh my god!
carry his favorite snack of sardines and mackerel back home. Lala was so respected in his community that he never had to spend money for fish, he just paid for it with his presence. Lala lived with his foster family for 10 years until he passed away in 1996. And for the final fact of this video, this is Lawrence Anthony. He was a conservationist that dedicated his entire life to rescuing and rehabilitating wild animals. He was also known as the Elephant Whisperer after he was able to bring a group of escaped elephants back to their reserve and away from terrified locals who considered shooting them down. But in 2012, Lawrence Anthony unexpectedly died from a sudden heart attack. After his death, a group of wild elephants, the same ones he had helped rescue, arrived at his house and stayed for 2 days in what onlookers could only describe as a vigil. They traveled several hours to get there, and some of the elephants that showed up hadn't been at the house in nearly 2 years. After that, the elephants would make the trip to their fallen caretaker's house at the same time each year around March 2nd, the exact day Lawrence Anthony passed away. Elephants are highly emotional animals that will mourn the death of their own, especially if it was an important member of their herd like a matriarch. So it only made sense that they'd pay their respects to the man that gave most of his life trying to protect theirs. And there you have it, 22 animal facts to start off your 2022. It probably doesn't look like it, but these videos take a lot of time to write, record, and edit. So for more consistent videos, make sure you follow my TikTok and Instagram, both are going to be in the description. Also, if you'd like to support this channel beyond subscribing, my Patreon's also going to be down there. Other than that, drink water, hug your mother, pet a puppy, and have a good one.
Oh no. See, I knew that elephants like would hold like funerals and stuff for their own folks, and I've even heard stories of them um like protecting people through, like, you know, there was a guy who collapsed of heat exhaustion, you know, and like they like covered him with like leaves and stuff, and part of that was I think they thought he was dead, and that's how they bury their own. But like there's other times where it's like, you know, they have gone to fetch help, or like one of them, somebody got like injured by a poacher and they go to the nearest village to get, like, you know, the spears out of them. Like, it was like they're so smart. I did not know how they found out that their boy died, though. Like, how did they know that? Who told them? Like, how did they discover that information? Like, that's what I want to know about that, because that, like, sometimes there some kind of weird psychicness is happening. But in any case, animals are great. I love them. I hope that we all learned something fun today. And I was like, I feel like the last video I watched from him maybe wasn't super depressing, but a lot of the ones that I watch tend to be either, oh my god, or oh my god, you know, but this one was like, oh my god. So there's that. Thanks so much for watching. Let me know what I should watch next in the comments below. Don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and I will see you all in the next video.